Oh, clock. Sorry, that clock's not broken.
I'm more surprised if I get it up all the time. The clock.
I'm surprised I get it up every time. Sometimes there's a bit of a struggle, but eventually I get it up.
That's kind of true, actually. That's what happens to the
What
clock.
information I need.
With the
Or
clock.
the world.
With the clock. That's just what happens with the clock.
No one needs to know about you trying to push your clock up.
It's a wonderful waste of time. It's a wonderful waste of time. It's a wonderful waste of time. It's a wonderful waste of time.
Hello and welcome to the 46th ever A Wonderful Waste of Time podcast.
Whoa.
I'm Cross Draylai, and with me as always is...
SG. Yeah.
Sectioned
Generation.
Greece.
I feel like we're more of a section generation.
I prefer Greece.
Why Greece?
Just separate all your grease out. Keep your food clean.
What are you, like a deep fat fryer?
That's what this show is, the deep fat fryer of entertainment.
It's great.
Unhealthy,
It's great.
but more delicious.
Yeah. Put some crunch in your media topics.
Redefining the edge of the fryer. So we're finally back to doing the normal versions of the show. So we've done way too many top fives recently.
No more top 5
But
/ 10s.
now we can be doing an actual categories one and talk about some things. So, are you ready for me to spin the wheel? Do you want to
I'm
make
so
the noises
ready.
of deep fat frying while I spin the wheel?
You know what? I think I got this one. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I got this one.
Go.
And then you
Sounds just like wind at the moment.
New, like...
New stuff
Yeah,
in.
yeah. You know, it's like when it's frozen. And
Yeah. Stop. It's me. And topics.
Yeah, buddy.
Go. Someone's accidentally burnt themselves. Stop.
Clearly, that was Parrot Man.
It was a parrot man.
It was,
Great.
yeah, it was a Parrot Man.
So I
he
got
was trying to save his cousins from the frying pan.
because the rest of the parrots were getting. Everyone loves deep fried parrot. That's totally normal, right?
It's a pirate's favourite meal.
So I got comics, books, manga,
Ooh.
and what I wanted to talk about is some weird origin stories.
Okay, cool.
So
I love
let
origin
me
stories,
find the
actually.
file. So
Yeah.
when the title of this podcast was originally perceived, that's not even the right word. Conceived. Perceived means I observed it. I
You
didn't. I
observed it,
created
you
it,
created
so I
it.
conceived
You
it.
did conceive it.
I birthed it out
Oh.
of my brain vagina. I think we've just discovered our first t-shirt. Just a t-shirt that says, I birthed it from my brain vagina.
Oh my god, brain vagina is so it's oddly fitting as well. Yeah. So
Sorry.
when the name was conceived.
So when this was an idea for a magazine originally, this was an article that I was writing for that.
Cool.
So I already have the list prepared
That's
of
handy.
weird origin stories. So it came from the fact that one of my favourite characters... Well, obviously, lots of superheroes have weird, stupid origin stories.
Yeah.
I mean, even, like, the most known ones are kind of stupid. Like, I got bitten by a weird spider that they'd been doing science experiments on.
No, yeah. Doesn't
Totally
kill you,
normal.
but it makes you stronger.
Yeah. So there's a lot of weird ones anyway, and one of my favourite characters, Phantom X, has quite a complicated
Phantom
backstory where he's technically British because he was essentially raised in Britain, but he was raised inside a computer program which was a simulated version of France. so he's French.
Okay. Cool.
It's weird. That's that's not obviously how he got his powers, but that was his upbringing, because he was part of one of the there's lots of them in Marvel. Like Wolverine was in the Weapon X program and Project K and stuff like that. It's a thing like that where it's just some weird science experiment that people were doing. His actual powers involving casting like illusions and stuff like that.
Cool.
It's not really relevant to that stuff.
Witchcraft,
I think it was just a power that he naturally had. He's a mutant, so he just had that power. But his upbringing was that he was in this simulation thing. But that's not one of the ones I'm really going to talk about anyway.
Genjutsu.
So
that's a Naruto thing.
Go what?
Genjutsu.
It's
like illusions and
cool.
tricks, yeah.
So there are different versions of some of them as well. So Captain Marvel is one of them that I've got written down. And there are
Captain
different
Marvel
versions of it. Yeah.
Is he got a close relation with Captain America?
No,
not at all. There's no crossover.
This is to not confuse this. I'm not talking about Marvel's Captain Marvel. So there's in Marvel there is a Captain Marvel.
Okay.
There is also a Captain Marvel in DC.
Oh yeah, cool. Of course.
Who is also called Shazam.
Shazam.
But Shazam is the worst name. So his actual main name is Captain Marvel, but more recently they refer to his stuff as Shazam. Like his comic book is called Shazam.
Isn't there an app called Shazam?
Yes, for finding music. That's his power. He can hear any music and tell you what it is. The app was based on the character, because that everyone needed a superhero for when you're in a pub and you're like, what is this song? And then he just shows up and he's like, I'll tell you what the fuck it is.
Jesus, imagine apps for superheroes.
Apps for superheroes.
Because Shazam could work.
App man. What if there was a superhero based on apps and they could install new powers?
Oh, that's good. Yeah. But you could either wait for them.
But only when someone's finished developing them.
Yeah.
So they don't actually. They can use the powers, but somebody else has to create them. They're not very good with software themselves.
But they could pay for upgrades as well, and their powers could be boosted for 24 hours.
Yeah, like premium apps. If someone's willing to pay him, he'll do a better job than he would have done.
I'll save the guy for free.
Yeah.
It
won't be. He might get a little bit hurt.
Yeah. I mean, if you pay me, he'll come back with me.
Yeah.
It's your choice.
I mean, do you want all your limbs?
That sounds like a devil thing, man. That sounds like something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
he is a mercenary, so it's fitting of Deadpool.
Yeah.
So Captain Marvel, the DC Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Shazam.
Yeah. Who
I was trying to find a thing about his powers. So Shazam, the version that I want to talk about, I don't know if it's the same in all of them, but it's a kid. It's a kid called Billy Batson who gets the powers, and basically he says Shazam and he turns into a superhero. Shazam is like the magic word. So he goes Shazam and then he turns into this massive bloke who's a superhero.
Okay.
So, cool. I shall read you what I had written down. I haven't read this in ages. I just knew I had it on here. He's got a lightning bolt down his front.
Is this guy just a rip-off of everything?
Yeah. He is basically Superman, but it's basically a kid who can turn into Superman, and he casts lightning and shit, I think, from memory. Right, let me read this. Right, so this is one version of his origin story, but this was the one that I thought was the funniest when I was writing the article. So, a homeless paperboy named Billy Batson is trying to sell his newspapers by a subway station when a shady, faceless guy asks him why he's out so late. And when Billy says he has no home to go to, the shady guy tells him to follow him into the subway. To which, of course, the young defenceless orphaned paperboy agrees.
Of course.
Down on the platform, some kind of cosmic hippie train shows up. It's like a weird... It's the magic train. And they both get on the train. This kid and this random bloke get on the magic train in the subway. the stop that they go to is like a secret chamber that's full of these weird statues of like the 7 deadly sins.
Okay.
And there's a wizard guy there on a throne. So the shady man fucks off, and he just leaves the kid there. And the kid goes and talks to the wizard, and the wizard explains that he's been expecting him and he's been watching him his entire life. And that's not creepy to hear from a wizard in a subway.
Not creepy.
I've not got the details written down, and I'm not going to look it up. So basically, the wizard just gives him powers.
Yeah.
The wizard's been watching him his whole life, and is just like, here, have some superpowers. And then the wizard gets crushed by a stone slab that is like in the room. It just, like above his throne, just crushes him and kills him.
Just like that.
That's it. And that's his origin story, basically. There is a kid, a random person says, come with me into the subway tunnels. They get on a 60s cosmic train, go and see a wizard. The wizard's like, have some powers, and then the wizard dies.
Can I just put they're also making a film of this next year?
Yeah, I'm hoping they put that bit in it.
Yeah, please, I really want to put
I'm hoping the version they do is that version.
Crazy. Oh my, I was like, I want to see what it looks like. It looks dope, kind of. Can't lie, but that sounds crazy. That I want to see that. I want to see an ad. Well,
I really want it to start, and you'll be like, "Hold on, I've walked into the wrong film here.
This
child's about to get fucking molested." And then you go, "Hold on, there's a wizard. Things have taken an upwards turn." And then the wizard says, "I've been watching you your whole life." You're like, "Oh no, wait! Now the wizard's going to molest you."
It sounds like the kid was taken somewhere and put on drugs, essentially.
Yeah.
But that's so crazy. And this guy, how long's he actually been about? 1940 was his first appearance. He's been, wow. How do you make a story out of that?
Yeah. How do you keep it going that long that is a kid that can just turn into a superhero? What's the point?
That is so crazy.
You often wonder how they keep a lot of like characters going because they can change stuff up. But they've obviously changed the origin story several times because they wouldn't keep using that same one because that one's really so weird and dumb.
That is so silly. That's literally like, hey kids, this is what not to do. Like you're not gonna get superhero powers if you follow some guy in an alleyway.
Yeah, exactly. What a weird thing to teach kids as well. Like, go strangers, you might meet a wizard and get superpowers. Who decided to write that into a comic book?
Oh man, that is ridiculous. Wow. Well, there you go. Shazam.
So I've got a couple more. I think that's probably going to be the best one, the weirdest one.
That is so
but here's another one. So there's a character called Black Condor.
Cool. Is a condor a snake?
No, condor's a bird.
Ah, yes.
Cool. So there's 3 different versions of the Black Condor. The original, Richard Gray Jr., started at Crack Comics and has by far the best of the 3.
Cool.
I'm literally just reading verbatim what I'd written down ages ago. Gray was born on a caravan out in Mongolia in the 40s, while his parents were with a team conducting scientific experiments. When they are attacked by bandits and everyone is killed except this newborn baby, alone the baby would surely not make it without some rescue. And then the perfect thing happens. He's rescued by a rare race of super intelligent condors. Luckily, after being raised as a feral condor boy for several years, he meets a mountain man called Father Pierre, who teaches him to be more like a human and how to speak English. He then tracks down and takes revenge on the bandits who killed his parents before going to the United States, where he tries but fails to stop an assassination attempt on Senator Thomas Wright, after which, of course, he steals his identity and seamlessly blends into the role of a senator with only his condor upbringing and basic English skills.
You don't sound like you believe this too much, man. I don't think you...
A baby was raised by some birds, then went to America...
No, he made the
failed to stop someone from being assassinated, and then was like, "Hold on, he can't even possibly have a concept of what a senator does."
Yeah.
And he's just like, no, I'll have a bit of that.
Well, what senator does?
I'm senator now.
Yeah. Well, he's got a PA.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, personal assistant does all the work. He's just the face of it all, really. He's the mock senator. You know, he's just there for.
He's just there for largely condor-based politics.
On the plus side, the bird safety of that city would have shot up.
Yeah.
Pigeons, loving life. He would have opened bird sanctuaries everywhere. So stupid. So wait, but who's this Mountain Pete? Mountain Man Pete?
Father Pierre.
Father Pierre. Mountain Man Pete.
Mountain Man Pete, you know. Same thing. Father Pierre, Mountain Man Pete.
He said he met a mountain man.
He was a mountain man, but his name wasn't Mountain Man Pete. It was Father Pierre, who was a mountain man.
Okay,
he lived
cool.
in the mountains.
But like, okay, I think Mountain Man Pete's a lot more. It just makes more sense in that sense. In that sense, wow, that sentence was great. This is so. So, anyways, Father Pierre, what was this story? Like, what was?
I don't know.
I've
not got that information at hand.
Maybe he
was just a guy that lived in the mountains who found a bird boy and then taught him English.
How do you know Father Pierre wasn't a senator?
Wasn't the senator?
Wasn't a senator.
Well, that's what he taught him. He taught him all about senators just before he went and saved the senator.
That's how he. That's how he knew the senator was going to get killed.
Yeah.
Because Father Pierre's
because senators just instinctively know when another senator's about to get killed. That's one of the gifts of being a senator.
Yeah.
I also got the versions for in case you didn't thought that like they'd improved upon the Black Condor story. I've got another 2 origin stories for the Black Condor. They're much shorter versions of it. Yeah. So the second version of him, who's called Ryan Kendall, was experimented on by his grandfather's cult.
Oh wow!
Who were called the Golden Wing. And they were attempting to create a flying man. Because the Black Condor's powers are basically he can fly. He's like Falcon.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's... No. I was going to say, but, no, he's the same character. He can fly. That's it, I think. I don't think he has any other powers. So, his grandfather's cult was trying to make a flying man, and then he chose to also experiment on his grandson and try and make him a flying man. And his was the only time that it was successful. And then because he'd been basically tortured for his entire upbringing, he broke out and left and then became a superhero instead. I don't think he becomes a senator in that version.
No?
And then the third version of it, it's a guy called John Trujillo. It's Spanishy. Trujillo. 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 So he patrols the Arizona desert and was given his powers by a Mayan spider goddess.
Spider goddess?
Yeah.
Surely...
No, not fucking condor goddess.
No, yeah.
And they decided... The spider goddess was like, I'm going to make you a fucking condor, not a spider.
So I'm going to make you something that could possibly...
Probably kill spiders. Yeah. They're just all dumb. They're all so stupid.
What? Like, all they had to do was make it a fucking bird goddess.
Yeah.
And that would actually... That's not the worst one. Like, make that a bird goddess and that makes some sort of sense.
Yeah. Exactly. If it... There can't possibly not be a Mayan god who's something to do with birds. Like, it seems impossible that there's not one that, whether they're like the god of birds, but like is a bird or has something to do with birds.
Spider
or nature, at least, rather than just a spider goddess. Maybe the spider goddess is like a nature goddess.
But what if the spider goddess...
But why are they spiders?
Secretly, she wants to kill all the spiders.
Oh, she wants to be... That's why she's the god.
Yeah.
She's the goddess because she's the main one. Yeah, the rest of them are going to get killed off.
She's like, yo, take out these motherfuckers and you can be superhero. Cool. Done. Figure that one out.
Do you want another one? I've got quite a lot of these. We won't get through all of them, but I've got time to give you some more of them.
Yeah.
Do you want to know about a character called the Wizard?
Yes.
Whose powers don't
Please
involve
say
him
that.
pissing everywhere.
Oh, I was gonna say, I hoped he was the
I think he's a speedster, like the Flash.
Yeah, I was hoping like an OAP on a mobility scooter, but like
the whizzer, he just whizzes past everyone and like steals their medication.
That just sounds like
in the nursing home. That's why he goes so fast. He's all fucked up on everyone else's pills.
So the Wizard.
So this, I've written. I'm going to read it again verbatim, and it starts with probably the most simple story, but I can tell you now it's not because I remember this sort of. So the reason that it's the most simple one is because it's not very explained.
Okay.
So there's a lot of like holes in the story. Not like the other ones were super tight, but you know what I mean. So this one, right? So as a young boy, Robert Frank was bitten by a cobra while somewhere in Africa with his father, Dr. Emil Frank. Fearing his son had been poisoned, he prescribes a cure: mongoose blood. This is a doctor who's like, you've been bitten, let's get you some mongoose blood. So a doctor who's trying to cure poisoning with mongoose blood. It works, obviously, because comics. And then he gains super speed.
Because of mongoose blood?
Yep.
And the poison?
Mm-hmm.
That's it?
Yeah, so it's
like...
Basically, it's revealed later on that he was always supposed to have superpowers. But the mongoose blood is what brought them out. So if he hadn't been bitten and had the mongoose blood, he never would have discovered his powers.
So mongoose blood gives you superpowers?
Mm-hmm. And so basically, there's this series of events where... No. The mongoose blood brought out the superpowers that he already had that were dormant. So he had superpowers but didn't have access to them. And if the series of events which involved him being bitten by a snake, having a shit doctor for a father who was like, yeah, mongoose blood, and then having some mongoose blood, he wouldn't have ever had his actual powers. It would have always just been a thing he'd never known about.
Oh my god.
And also, these powers are super speed, which has nothing to do with snakes, bad doctoring, or mongooses and their blood.
I think this is actually this. I mean, the last one was bad, but this one is.
This is the dumbest one because there's literally nothing to it. You might as well have just said it was a guy who thought he was lactose intolerant, then one day had a slice of cheese and then gained his powers. That's more sensible than this story.
Sounds great. So, but I just want to know if the mongoose blood carried anything. So, what? So, if he got healed by anything else, he would not have.
No, if he'd got him an actual cure for poisoning,
okay,
he wouldn't have had his powers.
Cool. So, what if like one day he just decided to drink mongoose blood?
Oh, then he would have got them, yeah. But I feel like there was less chance of that happening.
As much of a chance as using mongoose blood is the cure for poison.
But I feel like there's less chance that you're just going to be like, I'm going to go kill a mongoose and drink its blood today. I think the idea is that mongooses kill snakes.
Yeah.
So a professional medical doctor thought, well, I've not got any antidote, but I know that the actual creature, a mongoose, will kill a snake. So its blood, surely the equivalent of the venom of a snake, should also be able to kill the venom of a snake.
Cool. Yes, and he becomes really fast. That's stupid. So stupid. Like, the Spider Goddess doesn't seem so bad now.
No, yeah, it makes a lot of them seem a little bit better.
That's so stupid. I feel that's just really lazy writing.
Yeah.
They just...
A lot of them... some of them are supposed to be silly. I genuinely don't think that's one of them. I genuinely think... I think that was just supposed to be weird. I don't think it was supposed to be, like, dumb. So, like, there's a character called Bouncing Boy, and he's supposed to be stupid. He's like a comedy character. Basically, his entire thing is that he drank some kind of science experiment. It was a formula for plastic. He basically drinks a formula for plastic because he thought it was a can of soda.
Yeah.
And then he gets the superpowers, which makes him like a rubber man, and he bounces off things. He turns into a big ball.
Okay.
And he can bounce around.
And this saves people's lives.
Yeah. And I don't really know if he actually saves people's lives.
Well, it makes for a great game.
It would be a good game.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Bouncing Boy does need his own game. Where you have to try and save people without crushing them as you bounce around.
Yeah.
You've got to try not to be the problem yourself. Be like a game with really bad controls.
I feel like that's something that's going to have a cult following as well.
Yeah.
I feel like Bouncing Ball's got... Is it Bouncing Boy?
Bouncing Boy, yeah.
Bouncing Boy, yeah. Cool. That's... Wow. It's just wow. Well, again, that still makes more sense than this fucking wizard. He drank a formula for plastic. That kind of makes sense. Like
because he thought it was a beverage.
I don't know. Maybe they just have really.
Yeah, but I think mongoose blood probably is always going to be the worst one.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and his costume looks like shit as well. Like, what it is about? Fucking wizard.
And so, we got time for more? We haven't, we? Well, I can do a couple more. So, there's a character called the Shadow, who's like sort of detective-y. He's kind of Batman-y. He doesn't look like Batman. He wears a big hat.
Okay.
Batman notoriously never wears hats.
No,
that's what
no,
I'm trying to say.
that's
He's cowl only. No hats.
He's what only?
Cowl only. That's what the thing's called.
Cowl.
They wear over their face. That type of mask is called a cowl.
Cool.
So Kent Allard was a famed aviator who fought for France in World War One. After the war, he fakes his death in South American jungles, then moves to New York and creates several new identities to live under. The most notable of these is Lamont Cranston. This wouldn't be that abnormal a story, except that in the pulp comics, Cranston is another person, a rich young playboy, who the Shadow threatens and essentially forces into Green to let him impersonate him while Cranston's abroad. So he basically threatens someone and says, I'm going to be you while you're not here. So this is from this is like a pulp comic. This isn't like a...
Is it called
Marvel
The Shadow
DC.
Hero?
It's called, no, The Shadow.
Oh.
He's just called The Shadow. So his other aliases are Henry Arnaud, who is also someone whose life is taken over. Isaac Twombly, an old man who fortunately doesn't exist, but is still an odd choice. Why he chose to be like an odd man, an old man as one of his secret identities. And Fritz, who's a janitor who works at the police station, a disguise he uses to be able to listen to the police so he can walk around and work out what's going on. Fritz, the janitor. So a guy he was a pilot. He's now fighting crime as a vigilante, and he done that by faking his death and then creating a load of identities, including an old man, a janitor that works at the police station, and two people whose lives he's threatening.
Yeah.
Is the best way to go under the radar is to threaten some people's lives.
So how does he what are his powers? Has he just got no powers?
The Shadow, he's just a detective, I think. Okay. I don't think he has any. They made films of the Shadow. So he's just an expert detective, master of disguise, and a skilled marksman.
Cool.
That's it. Like I say, he's like Batman.
Yeah.
He's like Batman with a big hat.
And not as rich.
He's just a detective guy. Do you know the last one? And this is like I'll do this as the last one, because I've got Hellboy on there as well, but they did do the Hellboy one in the film, so a lot of people already know that one anyway. The basic one for Hellboy is Nazis. There was like a offshoot of Nazis who were like a satanic cult who were trying to get Satan to help them win the war. So they got Satan to produce a demon to help them fight. So that's how Hellboy's created. Yeah. Hellboy is the demon that the devil makes. But then the devil also kills the Nazis because Devil ain't on anyone's side.
No.
Devil just wants to kill everything.
Yeah, of course.
That's Hellboy.
Oh, cool.
That's it. It's quite a simple one. So the one I can go into more detail. I'm just not going to. So the one I wanted to do is a bigger character and a character that I really like. There's a character called Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
Who, in one of the best arcs, the Brian Michael Bendis arc, he's got like dissociative identity disorder. Arcs of it, the Brian Michael Bendis one, he's got dissociative identity disorder, and he sees the other superheroes. So he sort of uses parts of their skills because he's got them there, like they're coaching him. So he's in Los Angeles rather than New York, like most of them are.
Yeah.
But he sees Captain America, Wolverine, and I think Spider-Man in the first one. But he makes himself weapons that are sort of similar to theirs and uses that to fight. And then he sees them talking to him and they sort of tell him what he should be doing. So that's how he works stuff out. It's quite cool. I really like that as a concept. That's not something that's been used in all of it, but that arc was amazing. That's one of my favourite arcs of comics ever.
Does that explain why he's got Wolverine's...
He's got claws, that he made.
Yeah, that's sick. He looks sick.
He's a really cool character, yeah. So the original story, which is the weird one, is this. So, born in Chicago, Mark Spector is the unruly son of a rabbi. He leaves home and trains to be a heavyweight boxer, US Marine and mercenary. He befriends a man called Frenchie, a pilot, who accompanies him on a mercenary job in Egypt. Alongside the mercenary who hired him, Raoul Bushman. His surname's Bushman. That's not relevant to the story, I'm just saying. Please remember that somebody decided to give someone Bushman as a surname in this. A mercenary called Bushman. Yeah. There is actually a villain called Bushman. Oh, is it? No, it might be something else actually. No, Bushwhacker. So I'm thinking of. It's like in The Punisher. I'm sure that's the thing.
Bushwhacker.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna leave that one there.
It sounds like a porn star name.
It sounds like a porn star.
Bushwhacker. Yes. That's his power.
Yes.
He's got full control over his penis. He can make it into shapes. He can last exactly as long as he desires.
He's stretchy like
his penis
fantastic. But only the penis.
Only his penis. Mr. Fantastic could do exactly the same thing and more.
Yeah,
but chooses not to use that as his main power, unlike the Bushwhacker. Right, so let's get back to this. So they go to Egypt.
Yeah.
While there, they stumble upon an archaeological dig. The team, including Dr. Peter Alraun, I can't pronounce names, and his daughter Marlene. After seeing them dig up a statue of the Egyptian moon god Khonshu, Bushman wants it for himself. He kills the doctor. Spectre challenges him to combat.
Yeah.
But he gets the shit beaten out of him. Bushman's like as much as he's a marine and stuff, Bushman is like a long-term mercenary and a giant bloke.
Yeah.
And just kicks the living crap out of him and leaves him there to die. So he's abandoned in the fucking coldness of the night in the desert in Egypt. And he's found by a group who follow the ancient Egyptian gods. And they take him to a temple where they lay him down in front of Khonshu's statue and he dies. And then he starts seeing visions of Khonshu, who offers him another life. And then basically takes over his body. He becomes like an avatar for Khonshu. And Spectre agrees, comes back to life, takes the shroud off of the statue and wears that as his massive long white cape. Then he goes back to fight Bushman, beats him. So. Then him, Frenchie, Marlene, and they take the statue as well. Because they were like, the statue's given me another life, but we're still going to take this. Yeah. And they all go back to America, where he builds up a new life with several fake aliases. And he starts a new life as a crime fighter called Moon Knight.
That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
That's a really cool story.
But it's just, there's a lot of random weird shit in there. Other versions of him, he's involved in the entertainment industry. I don't know if that was a thing that continued on from this one, where he's like a film producer and stuff like that as well.
sick. So I really like his costume.
Yeah, he's got a really cool costume.
Yeah.
He's one of my favourite characters. Probably, it's mostly because of that arc, because of the Brian Michael Bendis version of him. He's a really cool character. And I really like that as a concept. I think it's super interesting to have someone who uses other superheroes as inspiration for what they're doing at a time.
I like Egyptian gods, so there we go.
So
Everyone
cool.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of weird superheroes out there. So whilst being bitten by spiders and shit might be weird, there's weirder. Don't worry.
100%.
You could be a baby condor boy or have mongoose blood put into you.
Mountain Man Pete.
So we'll stop for the little mid-break there. But I just want to quickly say the name of this article when I wrote it was Spider Bites and Opera Nights, which I think is tight.
Opera Nights. What's Opera Nights?
Opera Nights because Batman.
His
His parents got killed while they were out of the opera.
Yeah.
Spider Bites and Opera Nights.
That's good.
Man.
That's good. There's real pride in your face right now.
That's it for the first half. We'll be back in just a second, where we're going to spin the wheel again.
Spin.
It's a wonderful waste of time.
And welcome back.
Hey.
Shall we... Hey. Hey guys, welcome back. We spin the wheel. And what noises shall you make? Can you make the noises of a condor?
I'm not clued up on my bird calls, so you know it could.
Just do me some general
I'll
predatory
try.
bird noises.
Yeah.
A super intelligent condor specifically.
Yeah, of course.
So do like a really smart bird.
Did he learn English with the condors? Or did he
No.
English with, it was
Father Pierre taught him English.
Father Pierre, aka Mountain.
The birds just taught him how to fly.
Okay, cool. No, I just have to check
Because he was a boy and he learned how to fly from the birds.
With the right help, anyone can do anything.
Spin!
Oh. Yes, that was them.
Yeah, they're being smart, yeah.
Yeah.
I got it. They're in conversation. That sounded like it was laughing about something. It was like an anime laugh. Stop. It's me again. And we'll spin the second one. Yeah. Carry on.
Condor still.
Yeah.
Cool.
Stop.
For an hour, I'm thinking, what's this conversation? What's happening? Like, just set the scene. You know, that's how we did it. Set the scene.
So TV. So I have two things to choose between.
Television.
One of them was a thing that you said you were going to start watching, but I don't know if you have yet. So maybe we'll talk about the other one, and then we can talk about that when you've watched a bit of it.
Oh,
remember when we were doing our top 5 TV and I said about iZombie at the end of it?
Oh, no.
You said you were going to start watching it.
Yeah,
We'll leave that until you've watched some of it.
I wanted to, but basically, I'll just already watched it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, but I have to catch up there.
Yeah.
I have to catch up.
Or maybe even just when you've watched like the first series of it. Or
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to give you spoilers as well. There's like 3 seasons of it, so you'd have a lot to catch up on. So let's talk about the other thing I've got written down, which is Comedy Bang Bang. I've showed you Comedy Bang Bang before. Comedy Bang Bang is also a podcast as well as a TV show, and was one of the reasons why I wanted to do a podcast, because it's my favourite podcast. So the TV show is they're kind of a similar thing, really. So the podcast is he has guests on to talk, and it's comedians in character. But the TV show is the same thing. So it's all like fake setup. He'll have like a celebrity guest on, and their interview will be fake as well. Yeah. Then they'll have like comedians come on as characters, and they're all just playing these weird people, or they're playing celebrities and stuff like that. And they come on and they do a weird interview with them as well. Sometimes there's like little segments in it that are like parodies of the kind of thing that you'd have in chat shows or morning shows and stuff like that. And there's often like a little background narrative thing going on with some weird storyline going through it that is Scott Aukerman and whoever's his band leader at the time, which was originally Reggie Watts.
Yeah, I can see
then
that.
It was Kid Cudi for like half a season. He didn't stay very long. Then Weird Al Yankovic took over until the show got cancelled eventually. After like 6 or 7 seasons, it was on for quite a while before it stopped.
Yeah, that's alright.
So I just think it's a really fucking interesting concept, and for like a comedy show to do a chat show, but have instead of it being like it could be a sketch show. You can have all these comedians come on and do sketches as the characters, but it's funnier to have them be like interviewed, and a lot of it's improv as well. So they just let them come on and be the characters, and then they just sort of roll with what happens. But I think it's a really interesting concept, and there's been a few other shows that are a similar thing, like comedy versions of talk shows. So there was Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Have you ever seen that?
Nah.
So that was an Adult Swim thing where the old Hanna-Barbera superhero Space Ghost is a talk show host instead now. And the show's called Space Ghost Coast to Coast. And the people that work for him are like villains from Space Ghost Coast to Coast. So his band leader, is his name Zorak? Who's like a big... He's a mantis. He's like a praying mantis alien thing. And then the guy that sort of runs the show, who's like the vision mixer, who I suppose is supposed to be directing or whatever, Moltar. So they're both villains for it. And essentially they're trying to ruin the show because they're still his villains. They hate him. They kind of want things to go wrong. But the whole thing is actual interview. So like a little TV screen pops down.
Yeah. And
whoever he's interviewing will be on that. But it's a cartoon interviewing them. And it's just a really interesting concept. It's the same thing again. Yeah. Where, what an interesting way to do a chat show, to have an old-timey superhero be the one talking to you. But it was really funny as well. It's
this looks really cool.
It's really good. You should try and watch it sometime. Every now and then, on Adult Swim's website, they have like live streams, and sometimes they do Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and show the whole thing, so you can just watch for them. But it's good. I recommend it as well. And the other one I wanted to talk about is the Eric Andre Show, which is a similar thing. It's a chat show where the guests don't know that basically he brings people on just to fuck with them. So his entire show is trying to make people as uncomfortable as he possibly can.
Oh my god.
Which he's really fucking good at.
Yeah.
He's quite anarchic anyway, but he really fucks with people. I've listened to interviews with him where he's talking about it. So the show, like each interview is like 10-15 minutes.
Yeah.
The people are there for several hours in a studio that they purposely make super hot, and they cut down the most pissed off bits, basically. So they fuck with people as much as they can to get this small bit of content. But it's often like people who they think it would be funny to mess with.
Yeah.
Or people that are arseholes or desperate to be reality stars and stuff like that. So they bring them on because you can sort of justify fucking with them. But he's done a lot of weird things. I remember him doing one where he throws up on the desk mid-interview, then licks it back up, and then throws it up again. And they released live rats in the studio once as well. Like, trained rats, they were clean. They weren't going to give anyone... No, they were like animal handler rats. They weren't going to give anyone diseases.
Yeah,
but it just freaks people out because people are scared of rats.
Yeah. No, you know what? I've seen that show, and it is a bit much, man.
Yeah.
It is a bit
Even
much.
like the intro to the show is him destroying the set.
Yeah.
It really sets up the tone for it. It's a weird show.
It's a weird show. What was that? How did I was literally... It's this week I've seen it as well.
Oh, really?
I can't remember what it was.
It is good. And I think what's funny as well is he's like, if you listen to him in interviews for anything else, it seems like this could be some stupid, like, teenager idea of, we're just going to mess with you. He's like a really smart person.
Yeah.
Like, he's really intelligent. And when you learn how they make the show, you can really appreciate how it is cleverly devised to really piss people off. Like, these people want to be on a show. Yeah. These are all people that would put up with some shit. So you've got to really piss them off to fuck them up on camera enough for them to get angry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's a really clever concept. For
It's
an
interesting one.
Same thing with Friends. I like this idea of doing talk shows in a different spin or morning shows with a different spin and turn it into something else.
I think the thing with that last one is people know what the show is and they still go on it. So
No, they don't. That's the point. They purposely pick people that don't know what the show is. Because it's like a comedy thing, but not necessarily, because they don't obviously contact the actual person. They contact their agents for a start.
Yeah.
So they just go, does so and so want to be on a talk show? And that's why it's all people who are desperate to be on TV.
So
they go, yeah.
Because
they want the exposure.
And not knowing what you're walking into.
Yeah.
That's okay. I guess that's why it works as well a little
bit. Yeah, the show wouldn't work if people knew about it. I think he said there's only been like one person on who knew what it was. I think it was T.I. I can't remember, but he still got pissed off because he just fucked with him for the whole thing. I think T.I. walked off and walked off and came back on.
Yeah.
Several people have just walked off.
Yeah, I think he's had about 5 people walk off.
Yeah. Well, he's left them there for hours and annoyed them. It makes sense. But to go back to Comedy Bang Bang, I think what's really, really clever, I think that's the best of the three of them for me personally. I think apart from the fact that the comedians that come on and do the improv for the interviews are so fucking good. They're like consistently good. Especially Paul F. Tompkins, who does the podcast a lot as well, and is just routinely fucking hilarious. Just really well done to have them come on and improv. So it is like still doing an interview.
Yeah.
Because they're still just answering as the character. It's still not a thing of like, these are all set up answers. Because that would seem stilted. It would seem wrong. If you watch it, you would know that they were just answering what they've been told to answer. You can tell that it's maybe they've said go in this direction with it, but you can tell that they're just saying random stuff because you can see him be surprised at what they're saying a lot of the time.
Was you watching this yesterday?
I was watching Good Mythical Morning when you came in yesterday.
God, fair enough.
Different thing.
Wrong show.
Yeah, so the idea of having that and having like a background story, like there's an episode where it's about time travel.
Okay.
So you have the interviews going on, but they basically go back in time and have to not fuck up the interview. But then every time they try and fix it, they make something else worse, so they have to keep looping back on themselves. So Scott and Reggie keep going back in time, and the interview's going on in the background. There's stuff like that. They also did one that was like, I think it was the end of the first series as well. It was them in tuxedos going, "This is the best of Comedy Bang Bang." And then every clip from the clip show of the best of Comedy Bang Bang was just one episode of Comedy Bang Bang. So it was like, and now we go into our next top moment, and it was just the next segment of the interview. So it was like, it was a normal show. It was just the framing of it was like a best of for everything that's happened.
That's fucking genius.
That's so fucking clever. And they did one where the whole thing was a murder mystery going on in the background. They've done it where they were saying someone's going to die at the end of the episode, and it kept cutting to like the overdramatic kind of thing that you do in like a shitty TV show, where it's like clips of people going like, "I can't believe it, this can't be happening, no!" And it kept cutting to the bits of that, but then when they reveal all the stuff, it's all just like really normal shit. It's all just all just bits from the interview that aren't really related to it. It's a really clever satire of how people make television. And
bad television.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How people make bad television. Even the little skits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like there's one where it's all set up. So there are two that I wanted to talk about. No, there's three bits I want to talk about. So there's one, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically like cameras set up in a toilet in a bathroom, and it was, are people going to wash their hands after they've come out of the toilet? That's it. And it's people come out and see if they wash their hands, but it gets more absurd as it goes on. So like someone will come out, wash their hands, and they'll be like, "Good job," and then someone else will come out and not wash their hands and go, "He's a dirty boy," and then he leaves, and then someone will come out not wash their hands, go back into the toilet, wash their hands in the toilet bowl, and then leave afterwards. So it's all like set up stuff, but it's all to get more and more ridiculous. And then there's one where the joke is he's hiding in the bush with a microphone, and these people walk past, and he's saying what they're thinking. But it's just him talking about random people. So it's set up like a thing that they would do on a show where it's just him going, imagine if that's what this person was thinking. Yeah. And then so someone will come out and it will be like, I wish I could wear a sandwich as a hat, I think is one of them. And it's all like stupid shit. And one of them comes out and he's like, I have such a wet little butt. Look at my wet little butt. And then he walks off. And then later on, all the people come back over and go, we saw you hiding in that bush. And the man who wanted a sandwich for a hat has a sandwich for a hat. And the other guy's like, I was out here worried about my wet little butt and you've put me on television. And then he's like, wow, maybe I do have psychic powers. It's so cleverly fucking done, where it takes like a thing that you expect from a TV show like that and then twists it completely. And it puts in all the little cheesy, stupid shit and just makes fun of it. Like there's a bit he does that's called That's a Spicy Meatball, where he'll talk about a thing and then just say it's a spicy meatball. And it's all like these preposterous things. So do you remember in Family Guy, there's a bit where Peter gets on the news where he does, you know what really grinds my gears? It's like that kind of segment. So it'll be like, have you seen this in the news where so-and-so said this? That's a spicy meatball. And then it will go to the last one and go, there's controversy about an Italian restaurant where they've been serving horse meat in their or some, I can't remember what it actually is. That's just an example of something that was actually in the news. Them serving horse meat in their spaghetti and meatballs, and he goes, "That's a spicy." Hold on, that is a spicy meatball. It's all stuff. Is the setup is so well done, and you can see how much the people that write it understand how television works to really rip it apart and do it so well. And then, so he's got those really clever bits that are set up, and then comedians coming on doing weird fucking characters. A lot of them are people that have done the podcast, and they're like, can you come and do this character you did on the podcast on the show? So like Bobby Moynihan plays like a little orphan boy. So there's an adult man, and he's a little orphan boy. I think the first one he's on is with Paul Rudd or Bill Hader. I think it's Paul Rudd, and he keeps getting. So he's like a Victorian orphan boy. Yeah. He's like got the little cap on and stuff and he goes, I'm a little orphan boy. I'm just a little baby boy. And he tries to convince Paul Rudd to adopt him. And Paul Rudd's like, yeah, I guess you can come and stay with me in like a real room, right? You're not just gonna like put me in like a cupboard or something, right? And he's like, no, yeah. And then, so he starts getting like more angry with him and pulls out a knife and starts threatening him and stuff like that. There's characters on there who are like rancher guys who run a horse fighting league. I'm
so outrageous. It's so outrageous. How do horses fight?
But it's like a they describe it as being like boxing whenever they talk about it.
It's so silly. It's so silly. I can't do that. Oh, I'm sorry. That got me. That one got me.
They're just all really absurd. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. They have just so many. I'm trying to pick out specific ones because they've had. It's been going on so long. There's so many people doing like amazing characters. There's a character Andy Daly does who's like a theatre director, but he does like family entertainment. But it always ends up with him saying like, so we've got this in there for the kids. There's a little bit of comedy in there. There's some jokes for the old people and a little something for daddy. And it's always like, and then we get the dancing girls coming out. It's always like, he's just really pervy.
And also something for daddy.
A little something for daddy. Ben Schwartz plays a character, so he'll say like, Will Smith's on the show tonight. And then Ben Schwartz comes out, and he'll be like, no, he comes out, and he's like, I'm so happy to be here, and stuff like that. And he'll be like, you're not, we booked Will Smith. And he go, oh no, I'm his agent. When you messaged, I thought you meant you wanted me to come on the show. And he plays just like this really awkward agent who's like so happy to have been asked to come on the show. And he's really desperate to be friends with him because he wants to be a celebrity himself.
That's hilarious.
And I've said about Paul F. Tompkins before, who does several amazing characters.
Yeah.
One of the biggest classics. He does Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Okay.
But he does like it's nothing like Andrew Lloyd Webber at all in the slightest. It's like an over the top. He comes on wearing a cape and he goes like this and everything's over dramatic and it's amazing. And he calls Scott Rick all the time. He's just like super weird.
He
calls him Scott Rick.
Scott Rick.
And he pronounces things really weird. He pronounces bedroom. Just a fucking good character. He also does. Have you ever seen Cake Boss? Have you seen the show Cake Boss?
No.
So the Cake Boss is a show about a bakery, but he plays Buddy Velastra, I think his surname is. He plays the guy who is Cake Boss on the show Cake Boss.
Okay.
But his version of him, he has psychic powers, and he can talk to the dead and see into the future. And he got these powers because he was bitten by a cake bug. And no, he could see into the future because he was bitten by a cake bug. Okay. But later on, he was bitten by a cake scarab, and that's why he can also talk to the dead.
Scarabs. Come on. If the Egyptians have taught you anything, scarabs are, magical creatures.
This is what we learned from the first half. Egyptian stuff can lead to magic.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm surprised.
I don't have much more to say other than just it's an amazing show and I recommend it so much. Yeah, that's why I think even in the first one where he comes on as Andrew Lloyd Webber, he has like the half mask and he puts the cape up as he comes out.
Yeah.
And there's so many fucking great people on it. I really recommend the podcast as well, but I recommend the TV show if anyone's not seen it. If you're in the UK, the first 3 series of it are on Netflix, but the rest of it isn't up yet. I've only seen the first 3 series of it, because I can't get it anywhere. I've got no way of watching it. I don't know if I can buy it. If I can, I really should do that. But the podcast as well. Go listen to Comedy Bang Bang. It's really good. Not to promote other podcasts on our podcast. Continue listening to this one, but also check out that one. It's amazing.
That's good.
It's really well done. Yeah. Should we leave it there? I haven't really got much to say other than that. I've been through quite a lot.
You have. Do you want to sneak in one more origin story?
Shall I? Wait, let me open the thing again and see if I can find a good one. Right. So, I'm going to, one more, yeah?
One more.
So, this one is supposed to be stupid, but it's good.
Okay.
It's from a comedy thing. The superhero is called the Flaming Carrot. So, obviously, there's a start there with you knowing it's stupid. Alright, so... I don't think they've ever said what his actual real name is.
Yeah.
He's only known as the Flaming Carrot. He doesn't have a normal person name. So he's a guy who took on a bet that said he couldn't read 5,000 comic books in a row. He won the bet. He did it. He read 5,000 comic books in a row. Then went completely fucking insane.
I don't get it. As in, like...
Just read...
Straight.
Yeah. Just read 5,000 comic books.
Straight.
Without stopping.
Without stopping. What, no sleep?
I'm assuming no sleep? That must be part of why he went insane.
No, it could be.
Maybe he could have slept, but maybe just reading comics, 5,000 comics made him go insane.
Okay, cool.
So the result of him mass reading was severe brain damage, which led to his one superpower, which is unstoppable persistence.
What?
What? He then built himself a suit, which is a white shirt and some red trousers, a pair of flippers in case he needs to swim, and a giant carrot mask, which is like the length of like half of his body. It's massive. It's like a huge, huge mask. And the top of it is always on fire.
Like, what
So
is
the
going on?
top of the carrot mask is always on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
And is also where he stores his nuclear-powered pogo stick. So he sets out to fight crime using his trusty weapons, a gun and a smashed bottle for stabbing.
Oh, so the pogo stick isn't even one of his
He
weapons?
rides around on the pogo stick,
Okay.
but he shoots people and glasses them.
Yeah.
He also joins a super league called the Mystery Men, which was turned into a film eventually that didn't feature him, unfortunately.
What? Snakes.
So obviously he's not supposed to be a serious character.
That is all sorts of ridiculous.
But the kind of enemies that he fights are zombie dogs, an army of clones, and a pair of Hitler's boots.
How?
You said you wanted one more.
Yeah, like, I mean,
One
it's
of the dumbest,
so many doors.
one of the dumbest ones, but this one's supposed to be dumb. So,
but like, how
the boots are evil, and I'm assuming people put the boots on and it takes over them.
Oh my god, he looks crazy. That is one big. It's a really big carrot.
I like that it is not. It's just he has a nuclear powered pogo stick. Hi. All right, we're leaving it there then.
Yeah,
So that's it for this episode of the podcast. There's been a lot of fucking weird shit in this one. If you want to hear more from SG, you can go to soundcloud.com/MrSouls or mrsouls.bandcamp.com. What did you break?
Nothing, bro. Something dropped.
That's Mr. Souls spelled MRSOLS. If you want more from me, I'm playing Let's Plays on YouTube under Renegade Pineapple. I know what he looks like. I've done the research. He looks fucking stupid.
It's kind of cool though.
If you want more from the podcast, we're on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and podcast apps. If you look for us on whatever podcast app you have, we're probably on there. If we're not, tell us and maybe we'll put us on there. If you want to talk to us, you can send us an email at awonderfulwasteofemail@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment or message us on any of the social networks that we're on, any of the things I talked about, or Facebook and Instagram. You can like, you can subscribe, you can follow, you can do all that stuff. Follow us everywhere and tell other people about the podcast if you enjoy it. That's it for this week's episode. Next time we'll be doing a top 5 of something. See you then. Goodbye.
The carrot don't look too bad, you know.
It's a wonderful waste of time.